Hello, everyone. Hello, superstars. Good evening. I hope you guys are doing all right. Busayo Akeshiro. See you, Laura Oniloye. Good evening. Chichi. Good evening. Good evening. I think you are the first person in class this evening. How was your day? How did you went? Okay. Yeah, somebody. I thought it was last year, it was 16. I mean, why? Well, I mean, if you look at it, we do the arithmetic. We do the arithmetic here. You'd see it's not a month away. It's just like a month and a week away. You get even more a month and like 11 days away. So you have enough time to prepare. Make sure you read before then. All you can do is read. Don't be shocked. You get. Yes, and we are still going to do, like I said, we are going to do lots of past questions, at least 10 years worth of past questions, so that you guys can understand what do you call it, all these topics are for. So, yes, welcome to class again this evening. Hope you guys had a nice day. Yeah, okay, I see people during 3 people in class. I always forget that you guys always have what they call it. Most of the people in the class have festive things that they have to do. There's some people are breaking their fast by 7 o'clock, so therefore they won't be present in class. Good evening, Rose Egbe. Welcome to class. Good evening, Art Divine. Welcome to class. So, what I'm going to just say is this. Please, I want you guys to read. Yet, like I said, I think I've made mention of it in this class that welcome to class, Shomayo. So I've made mention of it in this class. I hope you are good. I hope you guys are good, by the way. I hope you guys are all right. Welcome to class again. So I think I've made mention of it very, very well with times without number that your brain has two compartments. Number one is where it stores the short-term memory. So anything you do and you do not redo it over time, your brain shuts it out at the end of it. That's why you notice when you get into exam after just attending class and what they call it, you barely remember things that you are supposed to remember. Of course, being in class is very, very good because there are some terms that when you get into the exam, you'll be able to remember them. You understand? Oh, he said this in class. I remember very well. You get. But like I said, it's still on your short-term memory. But if you continually do it over time, you get better, and it would stay in your brain. Welcome to class, classic damsel. Welcome to class again. I mean, this girl, what's her name? Forgotten her name. She's always disturbing the class like this, always saying, master, what do you call his favorite student. No problem. When she comes into class, please, you guys should tag her for me so she can say hi. So yes, in previous classes we talked about ecology one and ecology two. In ecology one, we were able to see the fact that we have ecological factors. You get what is ecology? Ecology talks about the relationship between organisms and themselves, which you consider the biotic factors, and then organism and their environment, which you consider the abiotic factors. So we see that these factors come together to affect organisms, number one, survival, growth, reproduction, and distribution. We've been able to see how they do that. We've been able to see what they call it, what the abiotic factors are, temperature, sunlight, and the rest like that. We've seen what they are. Yet then we also saw in ecology too the relationships between organisms. Where we talked about parasitism, talked about mutualism, and the third one, which is what commensalism. So we saw what these relationships are, and then we went directly into the abiotic part where we talked about the cycling, water cycle, nitrogen cycle. We've seen that in nitrogen cycle, we have organisms that also participate in all these things. So that plant itself cannot absorb nature's nitrogen, even though it's abundant, and therefore needs an organism to be able to convert it And that type of relationship is what we call symbiosis or mutualism in that what they call it in that case here. Yes. So at the same time, yes, at the same time, we what they call it, we also talked about water cycle, which is also part of it. We see that water, the reason why water vapor is maintained in the atmosphere is due to evaporation and transpiration, and it is condensed in the cloud and then it is returned back to Earth using what precipitation method, and then you have runoff and the rest like that, and what they call penetration into the soil. And from there, we now talked about energy flow in the ecosystem. So we saw that how many percent of energy is lost during the transfer of energy? Who can remind me how many percent of energy I say is lost? Or I said is lost during the transfer of energy? Who can remind me? 10%. Thank you very much, Rosegui. And you were present in class. Clap for everybody should clap for this girl. And she's present, she was present in class. Yes, 10% of the energy is lost as heat energy. I made a mention of that in the last class. We also talked about the pyramids. We talked about what they call it. We talked about pyramids of energy, pyramids of biomass, and pyramids of number. We also talked about what they call food chain. At Divine, I also see you there. Clap for yourself also. So we see we have the food chain, which is a linear process, a linear what they call it, a linear process in which energy is transferred in just a linear flow. And we see that the arrow depicts energy. So we also talked about food web, which is more realistic than the food chain. And we see that any one of them can exist on any trophic level you get if they are secondary consumers or tertiary consumers. You understand? But primary consumers always remain primary consumers because they are majorly or they are herbivores by nature. Okay, so in this place here, since we've already spent 7 minutes, we are going to enter into ecology 3. So in ecology 3, what we are talking about now is the habitat and biomes. Of course, all these things too are still abiotic factors, but we want to see how they affect organisms, how they are able to cause distribution in organisms. So I would like for you guys to pay attention and follow me all the way to the end. So now, the aim of this is to help you guys understand the concept of habitat. So what is habitat and what is biome? What is the difference between an habitat and a biome? You get identify major types of habitat. What are the major types of habitat? And describe the major biomes found in Nigeria. So what are the major biomes that we have in Nigeria? Particularly the tropical rainforest and savanna. Now, I would like for what they call it to let you guys know from the beginning of that we have more biomes than the tropical rainforest and savanna, which you are going to see in this topic. But in Nigeria, we are only limited to these two majorly. So that is what we are going to buttress on. If we are going to talk about adaptation of organisms and the rest like that, which we are also going to see, is going to be a big, what they call it, topic on its own, adaptation of organisms. And again, I think there is a topic that we are going to talk about it too, specifically. So I might not delve into it, you get, but I would like for you guys to pay rapt attention. So we continue. At the end of this lesson, you as students should be able to, number one, define habitat and biome. At the end of this topic, if you cannot define habitat and biome, it means that you are not present in class. It's the same thing like what they call it. Every time you leave a class and you cannot, what they call it, attempt any of the objectives in this place, it means that you are, what do you call it, you have you are, I don't want to say you are doing yourself, you get, you are, I want to put it in here, I want to sugarcoat it, but I'm not finding the words, you get. So I'm just going to say, please make sure you pay attention to all these things. I was asking a question. Sometimes when I ask a question from the previous class and you guys cannot respond to it, it just means that you were not paying attention. You understand? Or you didn't go back to read it. Welcome to class, Marianne. Welcome to class, Priscilla. Priscilla. You came late. Came late. Welcome to class, Blessing Chibuzo. You also came late. But pay attention. We just started. So we continue. Yeah, we see you guys should also be able to identify the two major types of habitats. The major, when you hear major, it means that habitats are divided into two major groups. We have the aquatic, then we have the terrestrial. Then under them, we now have different types of habitats also. Because aquatic, what they call it, can also be divided into two. We have the freshwater, we have the marine, and the rest like that. Same thing for terrestrial habitats also. We can also have organisms that they stay in different terrestrial habitat. Of course, we have what we call distribution, like I mentioned. Now we see all the factors that causes all these things. Then we list the types of aquatic habitats, such as freshwater and marine habitats. So at the end of the what you call class, you should be able to do that. Then describe the organisms that are found in aquatic habitats and explain how they are able to adapt. This is one topic that I said I'm not going to delve into it in this place here. Why is because, of course, you need to understand that if we take our time to go into adaptation, it's a big topic on its own. It's like talking about how birds are able to adapt in the air. We talk about their hollow bones. We explain why their bones are hollow. We talk about the fact that they have streamlined bodies for them to be able to what break into fluid surface tension. Because even air has surface tension. It's what we call the drag. If you've heard of drag force before, some of you like physics here. You'll be relating to what I'm saying. So we have surface tension. The reason why they have streamlined bodies, the reason why they built your aeroplane like that. And I said they didn't build it like a car. What you guys see inside movies, the way you see UFOs, the way they are flying. The reason why they built it like that is to reduce what surface tension of the aeroplane while it is going into the air. So it's the same reason why birds look the way they look. They have very small heads, big body, and small tail. That is what we call streamlined body. We talk about a couple of things. The fact that they have feathers. Why do they have feathers? Why is it that the color of their feathers are some way? Their beaks also. All those things there are adaptations for them to be able to survive in their environment. So that is why we are not going to talk about them. You get in depth, but we are going to talk about them. So we should also be able to list the terrestrial habitats, identify organisms that live in them, be able to describe organisms found in terrestrial habitats and their adaptation, locate major biomes in Nigeria, describe the characteristics of tropical forest biome, describe the characteristics of the savanna biome, and differentiate between tropical rainforest and savanna biomes. Not to waste our time, I'm just going to move further. So we see introduction. Ecology studies how organisms interact with their environment and with each other. We've talked about now that. So the two important ecological concepts are habitat, the first one, and biome. So we are going to see what they are. Understanding this helps us to explain where organisms live. Where are these type of organisms? Where can they be found? And where and why do they live in that type of habitat? You understand? Or those type of biomes. You understand? Because even if fishes stay in water as an aquatic habitat, they still also have their biomes. You understand? It's not all fishes that stay in salty water. Yet, not all fishes that stay close to the adal or benthic zone. You understand? Not all fishes stay, what they call it, in the Mariana Trench. Yet, they can be found in different places. If I say go and get a tilapia fish, there has to be a particular place where you can find them. And you know you cannot find tilapia fishes in salty water. So why do they live there? So we've been able to identify where the organism stays, which is in freshwater. Why does the organism now stay there? You understand? It's what we are going to be looking at in this topic. So we continue. I want to know if you guys are following me. Please, if you are following me, let me show by a raise of hand. Yeah, I can't see your hands by the way, so just use emojis to show your raise of hands. If you can hear me very clearly, you can see me, show by raise of hands. Okay, Laura Loye. Okay, Rosegbe Balogun Dikro, see you too. At Divine. Looks like it's the ladies that are taking over this class tonight. Ladies, clap for yourself, actually. I've not seen any guy. Priscilla too is there. It's like for this year, the best guy, the best what they call student in jam is going to be a lady. I can see it already. Now we continue. Oh, Stanley, you're even in class. Welcome to class. Yeah, of course, of course. It looks like the ladies are going to be the ones that are going to win this 400. I hope to see you guys actually. Because I think they are going to do an award presentation. So they would call us as tutors to come so that we can meet you guys in person. I would love to see, one or two of you guys you get. Of course, I would love to see everybody, but I know it's not everyone that is going to win what they call it, the award. So, uh, yes. See, sorry, I guess you say if they ask them questions, there will be plenty like this. Of course, well, I mean, you will address that later. It is a different thing we're addressing at this point. So, I would love to see you guys. You get if you guys can even pull up, on that day, even if you guys, at least just show up to cheer your guys up. You get. I mean, I feel like some people would be able to do that. I would love to meet to see, especially this girl that used to disturb my class. I think it's Priscilla that disturbs my class. No problem. So let's continue. So we see and Stanley too. Stanley is there. I know a couple of you guys you guys disturb my class very well. So I would love to see you guys. So back to what we were discussing. Now, what is a habitat? What do we consider a habitat in biology? We see a habitat is the natural place where an organism lives, grows, and reproduces. So what we are trying to say is that an habitat, say English, a habitat should be able to um, sustain what they call it, an organism. You get it should be able to provide a means by which the organism can live, can grow, and also reproduce. By what means? Providing food. You understand? Habitat provides them with food. If human beings would not be able to find food in a place, okay, what do you call it? Priscilla, yes, actually, what I said is true. Honor Okbans, welcome to class. You elite, but just joined, we just started. So we see if human beings would not be able to find food on land, we won't be found on land. You understand? So our habitat provides us with food. It's the same thing for organisms in which you find in aquatic regions. Their food is present there. Mosquitoes are found on land because that's where their food is. You get. We already know what their food is. So we continue. We see water also. It should be able to provide them with water. We see that, like I said, most organisms, including human beings, are made up of 70 to 80% water. If the water in your body drops to half, you drop dead instantly. So organisms are what they call it, they depend on water, and therefore their habitat should be able to provide them with water. Even plants need water. Water is a universal truth. So we continue. We see shelter also. You get their environment should be able to, their habitat should be able to provide them with shelter. The reason why we are not found on Mars, you get, say you have landed. Welcome. What do you call it? You want to turn yourself to clearing and forwarding. You have landed. Welcome. This is aeroplane. You are just joining the class, Chichi. I figured you were the first person to show up in class, but it looks like you left around the point. Uh, okay. And you guys should be trying at least 10 minutes before class. I beg you get. So we don't have this kind of issues. Now you've missed almost how many minutes of class like this? Yet. But anyway, we just started, like I said. So we also have suitable temperature. At this point, we already understand that in homeostasis, we see temperature is very, very paramount, even not for homeostasis, even for survival. Organisms should be able to stay in a particular environment in which the temperature can be balanced by the body. Human beings are not found in the Antarctic region. Why? Is because of what? Extreme cold. You get your body, you as what do you call it, human being, you are homeothermic, you get, which means that your body performs homeostasis, thereby balancing the what? The temperature of your body, either by sweating when the temperature is cold, or is hot, or when the what they call it, by shivering when you have a what? A very low temperature, and we have what? We have cold in the air. So we see suitable temperature is another thing. You get, they also, yes, they find food on land. Yes, the reason why you don't have views in the ocean and swimming there is because you cannot. What do you want to eat in the ocean apart from catching fish? And you can only cook fish on land. You've not seen somebody make a fire inside water now and is frying, what do you call it, fried chicken in the water. You can't even fry chicken inside the water. So the reason why you're on land is because you find food. You can Land provides you with food, water, shelter, suitable temperature, and what? Space for reproduction. You get, you when you are not what do you call a mermaid, you can't give birth inside the water. You understand? So we have nose, you get, we have a space for reproduction also. Yeah. We have nose, which allows us to be able to breathe on land. You get, that is why we cannot give birth in the ocean. So we see example are fishes which stay in the water habitat. Yet they have to adapt to their habitats that have been used, and their habitat allows them to survive also. And then lions, they stay in grassland habitat. We are going to talk about this one. Now we continue. Messiah Keshu, looks like you have a question. If you have a question, you can ask. You can ask towards the end of the class. I would respond to it. Now, the major types of habitats, we see that habitats are broadly divided into two. The first one is aquatic habitat. They are habitats that are found in water. So that means because they are found in water, we can have different types of habitats, meaning that we have different types of habitats that we can find in water. So we have the terrestrial habitats, which are habitats that are found on land. As you can see in this place here, in the image here, we have different organisms that stay there. Now, as a fact, okay, no problem. I'm glad to see that I was able to answer that. Yes, as a fact, we know that we have 22,000 species of fishes that have been found. You understand? But we have only, what do you call it? We have only explored 5% of the ocean. So if imagine you have 22,000 species of just fishes, we've not talked about sea sponges, sea cucumbers, we've not talked about, we have different types of, what do you call it, phylums in the animal kingdom. If you remember very well, we have the Piscipinamide, like I told you, Porifera, Coelentrata, Platyhelminthes, all those kind of things. We know that the Poriferas, which are like the sea sponges and the rest, and echinodermatas also, can be found in the ocean. If you are not following, it means you have forgotten what we talked about when we talked about Kingdom Animalia, which means you have to go back and rewatch it again. That's another thing. Or you were not present. We talked about it in our first, second, and third classes, if you remember very well. So now, as you can see, we have starfishes present here. You can see the sea cucumbers. You can see the sea sponges also present in this place here. All these things, corals, this place here, where you find your sea cucumbers and the rest, they are called the coral reefs in that place here. So all these things show you that these organisms in this place here can be found in specific places. You don't find this in your lakes. You don't find this in your river. You don't go to the river and then you say you saw a starfish. There is a reason why starfishes are located in particular areas and they cannot be found in other areas. We'll talk about that as we continue. Now, aquatic habitats can further be divided into two. We see that aquatic habitats are water environments where organisms live. First things first, they are water bodies, and then we find organisms in them. So the water inside your bucket is not an aquatic habitat. Thank you very much. Your reservoir is not an aquatic habitat. So if they ask you a question and you see reservoir inside and you choose it as your aquatic habitat, it's wrong. But then we can also have artificial aquatic habitats, which are also going to see in this place here. So we start. We see they are divided into two. The first one is freshwater habitat, and the second one is marine habitat. Now, what is the difference between these two? Even though they are water habitats, we would see. Now, these habitats support a wide variety of plants and animals. So we see there are plants that can survive in freshwater habitats that when taken into marine habitats, they would not survive. It's the same thing too if you see plants that can survive in marine habitats, they might not be able to survive in freshwater. And I use might because there are organisms that can survive in both freshwater and marine habitats. You get like your crabs. You can find them. Crabs are called the cockroaches of the ocean because number one, you can find them everywhere. Number two, they can find them everywhere close to water bodies. And number two is the fact that they tend to clear the ocean. You get, cockroaches, they feed on anything. They feed on fufu, amala, paper, wheat. They feed on even meat. You get, so crabs also do the same thing. So they are called the cockroaches of the ocean. So we continue. Freshwater habitat. As you can see in this place, this is a swamp. Yeah, this is not a lake. This is not what they call it. Swamp is categorized as being what? As being stagnant. In that case, you can see things are growing on the surfaces of it. And what we have on the surface of it here is what we call the algae. If you remember very well, yes, we've talked about the algae, and this is why I like to put images in my slides very well, so that you guys can recognize them. If you see them in black and white in the exam, at the same time recognize them if you see them in color, so that in nature you can tell your friends that you see what this is here. This is algae. You get. We have mosses also. Now we see in this kind of area we have lots of oxygen present because algae mosses, they are two organisms that they are rich in oxygen. You understand? They are very, very rich in oxygen. Why is due to the fact that they can reproduce very fast and they consume more CO2 than normal plants. If you see in spaceships, you can Google search it. They plant mosses there so as to maintain the amount of oxygen that is present inside the what they call it spaceships. So we continue. Freshwater habitats contain water with very little salt. Now, another thing I would like to make mention of, please pay attention. When I said salt, if you remember very well, we talked about the fact that salt is not limited to table salt only, which is your NaCl or sodium chloride. We also made mention of the fact that salt can be magnesium chloride, can be magnesium sulfate, can be magnesium carbonate, can be sodium carbonate, sodium, the rest like that. You understand? Salts are basically, according to chemistry, the reaction of a metal and a non-metal, which can either be an halogen or a radical in that case here. You understand? What do you call it? Excuse me. Now, yes, I've already known the person that disturbs me the most like this. Disturbance has arrived. Akibi Ifeoluwa, late comer. I've not seen a late comer like yours before. You are coming in 30 minutes late. You're supposed to sneak in. When I used to go to school before and I would come late, I would always sneak in from the back of the class. Yeah, so that they don't catch me. But here you are announcing yourself, late comer. So we continue. Let's ignore. So we see in this place here, we see that salt can exist in what they call it. So if they ask you in an exam that, do fresh water contain salt? Yes, they do, but they contain very little amount of salt. Might not be NaCl. which is why you can drink water from the stream and not taste salt. You understand? The what they call it, the water that is the cleanest is the spring water. If they tell you rainwater is wrong, rainwater or rainfall is as dirty as it can be. You get the reason why they just call it clean is because it falls from the cloud. I don't know who created the textbook that said that, but spring water is the cleanest because it goes through different types of rocks before it comes out. When they say cleanest, they mean physically. You get so it goes through. So I just said Chichi, I just said you should ignore and pretend she's not in the class. You still did not ignore her. So we see it goes through different types of rocks. You get, and therefore it's being cleaned as it comes to the surface. So in that case, there it is still not chemically clean because it contains salt in it. What type of salt? Magnesium chloride is present inside it. Calcium chloride is present inside it. So yes, see, this one is arguing 30 minutes or 28 minutes late. Oh, yeah, no, wahala. Late comma is even arguing. You have mouths. Now we continue. We see rivers are part of freshwater habitat. We can find fishes in this place. Yeah, we see lakes also are present. We see ponds. Ponds can either exist as natural ponds or artificial ponds. In that case, yeah. We have streams also flowing what you call bodies of water are called streams. We see swamps also in this case. Like I said, this is a swamp in this place here. So, example in Nigeria, we have the River Niger. River Niger is an example of what do you call it? River Niger is an example. In fact, Chichi, you were late. You're not supposed to see anything. Just for the fact that you commented before class and then you went and you came back doesn't mean you're not late. You're still a late comer too. So you guys should stay at the back of the class. So we continue. River Niger is an example of a freshwater habitat. Why? Is because it contains little salt. The same thing with River Benue also, and then we have Lake Chad. These are examples that what they call it we find in Nigeria. So we continue. The organisms we can find here is number one. We have the water lilies. These are lilies that float on water. We have the algae, like I made mention of. In this place here, you can see on the surface of this water, what what you find here is just algae floating all around in this place here. So now we also see the duckweed is found in this place here. We see the water hyacinth. We find them in this kind of habitat. Animals that we can now find here are your fishes. Now, we are going to talk about their adaptation for staying in this place. Yeah? We see that we have different adaptation for different organisms that stay in this type of habitat. And I want you to pay attention. You understand? I'm taking my time to break it down now. See my bad. I take my time to break it down now so that you guys can actually relate when you get into them. So we see water boatman. We also call them water skids and the rest like that. We have aphids, we have the present here. We see crayfishes also can be found in this place here. Now, the animals we find here, we find fishes, we find frogs, we find crabs, we find snails, and then we find insect larvae. They are present in freshwater habitat. You know what is present in freshwater habitat? Mosquitoes. They lay their eggs in stagnant water. And if you look at that swamp there, it's a very, very nice, cozy, and warm place for them to lay their eggs. And that is why if you stay close to swamps, you stay close to area with water, you understand? Even if it is moving water, around the moving water, you would always find places where water is, what they call it, water is stagnant, and therefore you find mosquitoes there. Even close to marine habitats, you would find places where they will lay their eggs. Mosquitoes are that crazy. So we find insect larvae present inside also. As you can see in these images here, we see alligator snapping turtles. These guys have enough biting force to destroy a watermelon. If you place it in their mouth, they will destroy it instantly. We have axolotl, we have the water boatman, we have the crayfishes, the lake trout also is present. This is what you guys fish for. If you've ever gone to the river to fish with your dad before, you see lake trout is also present there. River dolphin also. Sometimes dolphins come to the river. We see the hippopotamus is found around this area. The heron, which catches fishes. We have the largemouth bass also, which is present in this place. Now we continue. Adaptation of organisms in freshwater habitat. Example is we have the fish. How are they able to adapt to their environment? They have gills which allows them to breathe in water. Yet frogs have webbed feet for swimming. Now, all these things, they are not just their adaptation. I'm just picking one which stands out the most. You can go by yourself, read on them. How are they able to adapt to this type of environment? This is a jam, what they call it. You can't waste too much time. And again, somebody just made mention of the fact that we have 1 month left to your, what they call it. You guys also have need time to read by yourself. You get. So therefore, we can't just base on one topic. If we are to teach this intensively, we would have to break this down. Talk about fishes having streamlined body. We talk about the fact that they have what do you call it? They have their air bladders, which allows them to be buoyant in water. They have a lot of things which allows them to survive. We talk about the fact that they have am I forgetting this? What is the name of the coloring? Someone should remind me. The name of the coloring that fishes have, the double coloring that they have, that allows them to be able to survive in what they call it in marine habitat. Anyone, remind me, please. Excuse me. It's an adaptation of fishes so that when you look at them from above, what you see is the dark side, and when you look at them from below, what you see is the brighter side. These are organisms so that they can be able to survive. I think I talked about it under evolution and adaptation. Yes, who can remind me? See, whenever I ask questions, the attendance rate keeps on dropping. Thank you very much. Counter shading. Thank you. You guys are following. Clap for yourself. Even me that I thought these are what they call it. Well, you guys should forgive me. There's so much a man can put in his head. You get. I teach other things. I teach other classes apart from this. So um you guys just need my experience. That's all. Clap for yourselves. You guys are good already. You should go and write exam tomorrow. What do you guys think? If you guys write exam tomorrow, I'm very, very sure you guys are going to pass. Yes. So yes, it is counter shading. And some of you are just seeing people typing counter shading and they're like, yes, let me just type counter shading also so that they can see. You get. So now we continue. So we see that we have gills which they use for breathing. We see counter shading also is another adaptation to their environment. You guys can write exams tomorrow. I'm sure of you guys. I'm very, very sure that you guys can. You get. So we see frogs also have webbed feet for swimming. At the same time, they also have skins that they use for swimming. They have gills that they can use to swim in their early stages as a tadpole. So we see all these things here. They are adaptations, you get. But I'm just picking the ones that stand out to us, the ones that are being asked in exam. So they don't have hoofs, they don't have serrated arms like we do. They have webbed feet instead. So we have webs in between their feet. So you guys are not sure of yourselves that you guys can do. You guys are falling my hand, really. You're falling my hand. All these things I've taught you guys, and you guys cannot go. In fact, you guys are good on your own. That's just it. I don't need to teach you. So we see aquatic plants, they have air spaces which allows them to float in this which allows them to float in this habitat. So they have air spaces present in their cells, which allows them to be able to float in this, what they call it, in this habitat. Now, some of them also are able to grow out of the water. You get, for them to be able to, number one, tap sunlight, because sunlight affects every organism. Every organism needs sunlight. You get, even if you are a human being, even if you fly in the night, even if you are, excuse me, same motivation is so yeah. So even if you guys fly in the night, I know some of you that you are nocturnal in this place here. So we still need sunlight. So some of them are able to grow out of the water. Some of them they use the amount of oxygen that is found inside the water. They have mechanisms by which they do that. Yet why some of them just have to float on the water for number one to be able to get the amount of water they need, at the same time to be able to get oxygen, and at the same time to be able to get unrestricted sunlight or unrefracted sunlight. So now snails then they have shells for protection due to the fact that they have lots of prey, yet they need to have protection, which what do you call it? Which is what their shell does for them. Are you guys writing their mock? I don't know. You guys should not turn this class to a what do you call it? You want to chat yourself, you want to gist, you can gist elsewhere. Yeah, one of plans. I know you are writing. You get. I even want to see you guys score after you write your jam, your mock jam. I want to see. I know you guys are going to pass. That's just one thing. So we see marine habitat contains salt water. Yet they have salt water and they cover about 70% of the earth surface. And out of this, they've only been able to see 5% of them, which we are not even sure. It fluctuates around 4.8 to 5.1. You understand? So we might be right, we might be wrong. You get so in this place here, we see examples of them. We have the oceans, we have the seas, we have the estuaries, mangrove swamps, and seashores. All these ones here, they are what do you call it? Mangrove swamps are basically swamps in which you find like your there's this tree we call the mangrove tree. We most of them you find coconut trees around those areas also. You see seashores also. They are okay. So now let's continue. Oh, some people. Oh, Laura Ilo stays in choir. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice. I have students in choir also. Say hi to everyone in choir for me. So we see now we have organisms in this habitat. As you can see from this image here, look at this beautiful image. You see your sea turtle present in this place here as a reptile. We see the fishes that are present here. We see sea sponges. We have what do you call it? Sea cucumbers also. Now, what you see below these turtles here are schools of fishes. You see how beautiful it looks. Now, we see plants that stay in this habitat. We have the seaweed. We find the seaweed present inside them. We see the marine algae. Algae are also present in this place here, but we call them the marine algae. So even though they are not as much as what you find in the swamp, we also have them present there. We have the mangrove trees. Now, there is something that I will need to what do you call it, to say is that for this is what I would like to what do you call it. I think in the last class we talked about it, and I made mention of the fact that for every habitat, we always have a producer that is present there. We said on land we have plants as being the producers. We also have plants in the oceans, but then the plant there that mostly does the work of the producer is the phytoplankton, which is a plant, or we have the algae. Most of the times, what the tadpoles feed upon are organisms that feed on what? On algae. You understand? And therefore, something now feeds on the tadpole, and so on, like that, like that, like that. And then we have a food chain or we have a food web. So you guys should understand that the what they call it, the major guys that plays the roles of the um, producer in aquatic habitat are number one your algae and number two your phytoplankton, which is why even at the sea sometimes you find fresh air and you find oxygen present there. Major producers of oxygen are these two guys here. You understand? They are the major producers of oxygen. We have mosses on land, which are oxygen rich also, and we also have moss in the sea. You know, I said it one time that mosses are also they are also called amphibians of the plant kingdom because amphibians can stay in water and on land and survive. You get so it's the same thing for mosses also. So we continue. Animals like sharks, whales, starfishes, crabs, and jellyfishes. You see, crabs are also present in this place here. You look at the what they call it, and we see that crabs are present in freshwater habitat. You come here also, you also see that crabs are also present here. That's why I said crabs can be found in freshwater, in what they call it also in marine water, because they are called cockroaches of the ocean. So now we continue. Adaptations of marine organisms. So how are they able to adapt in this habitat? Number one is the fact that they have streamlined body for easy swimming. Now I make mention of something. Some of you guys, Jessica Uneme is just joining class and she's lagging. She's just responding to the what they call it counter shading earlier. Akibi Ifeoluwa too, I think she just like left and joined the class back because she's just responding to what this girl said 4 minutes ago. So so we see fishes have streamlined body. According to fluid dynamics, we understand that water has surface tension. You understand? If you hit the surface of water, bang, to pain you on your hand, try it. You can pour water inside your bucket and then just hit the surface as if you are trying to hit somebody. You see that your hand is going to pain you. And the reason why is because water has what we call surface tension, which allows for water to be layered on themselves. They layer themselves, the particle of water to be layered on themselves, and therefore they act as a solid against an incoming force. You understand? If you look at the surface of water, the way it is calm is not the way it is calm, it is vibrating. You get. But because the layers are layered on each other, you get, it is why it has surface tension. The surface tension is also why water does not compress. He said just like accusing me. Okay, no problem, no vex, you get. You are oh, yeah, no vex. You know, you like you said, you are my favorite student, and therefore I'm going to take note of whenever you join class or when you don't join class. You get. But yeah, you did not leave. I agree with you. So it's the same reason why if a person falls from a very high place, you understand, and lands on the surface of water, thinking is going to survive, bad news is not going to survive. In fact, it's going to pieces instantly. Why? Is because the force by which the person is using to hit the surface of the water is acting as a solid at that point there. It has high surface tension and it's not going to deform easily. It's not like air. In fact, air also has its own what they call surface tension, which we call the drag force. Is the reason why paper would not just fall down. You understand? The way stone falls down. Yet that there is also another thing. So if the person hits the surface of the water, then before the water decompresses, the water, what they call it, deforms, it first remains the same way it was as a solid at that point there, exerting the same force the person is using to fall down on the body of the person. And there is an amount of force your body can take, therefore the body breaks down into pieces. So that is why you cannot jump from an aeroplane and say you want to jump into water and say you will survive. You get. So it is another thing that you need to consider if your aeroplane is breaking down and you want to jump from aeroplane into the water. So it's the same reason why fishes, they need to have, what do you call it? They need to have streamlined bodies. Why their mouth is what? Is very tiny and the body is very big. You get, if you look at the faces of fishes, it is, what do you call it? It forms a sharp end even to a curved body. You understand? So that the mouth can break into the surface tension of the water and it what slides down their body. That type of body is called streamlined bodies. You understand? So it's also the same model that they use to build your aeroplane. In fact, there is nothing that has been built by human beings that we've not taken what they call it from nature. You understand? We've taken inspiration from nature. You get, your World Wide Web, your internet was gotten from the spider's web. Also, you can read on it. Now, mangrove trees are called breathing roots. Mangrove trees, they have breathing roots which we call pneumatophores. So trees in mangrove swamps, they have roots that can absorb oxygen, not just their leaves. You get, we call them the pneumatophores, and they are able to absorb oxygen through their roots. Now we see sea organisms, they have the ability to regulate body salt in their body. We go back to cells. We see that in an hypotonic solution, they absorb water, you understand, until their water, until their cell becomes very, very turgid. And at this point here, we see that the cell explodes. You get what we call cytolysis, when the cell is overstretched, the cell membrane is overstretched from too much water entering into the cell. But if it is in an hypertonic solution, it means that they have to constantly regulate the salt in their body, unless or else the water in their body becomes reduced and the cells shrink. You get, so they have the ability to regulate salt in their body. That is why they are able to survive in a place with very, very high salt concentration. Now, they also have seaweeds in this place here. They have hold fast to rocks for what do you call it? Hold fast for attachment to rocks. So we see sometimes you see seaweeds, they drift on the ocean, but they get to some places, they are hooked to a particular rock. You get, when they get to that place, that's why you notice that if you are going on Third Mainland Bridge, if you guys have what do you call it in your area, you notice that there will be like a particular place where you see lots of seaweeds on the surface of the ocean. It means that they have drifted to that place and they now find a common ground which is on that rock to hold to the rock, so that they can have anchorage. You get, so that is what we see, an adaptation for them to stay in this marine habitat here. So we've been able to see that. We now want to move into terrestrial habitats. We are still talking about habitats, we've not gotten to biomes. Now we continue. If you have questions, please write them down. So we see terrestrial habitats are land environments where organisms live. Um, Example, we have the forest, we have the grasslands, we have deserts, we have mountains, we have farmlands. We know what forest is. Forests are places that are categorized with lots of trees, lots of grasses, and the rest. We have grasslands, are places that are classified with less trees and more grasses. We see deserts where we have less rainfall. In fact, from 0 to 50 millimeter, which we are going to talk about in this as we go. Further, we have mountains, which are higher grounds that are higher than the the other grounds in the environment or in that habitat are called the mountains. And then we also have farmlands also. Now we continue. What are the organisms that are found in this terrestrial habitat? The first one is the plants. These plants here, we have the trees, we find grasses, we find shrubs, find oil palm, we find iroko trees. All these things are just examples of things we can find in the terrestrial habitat. We also find animals like monkeys, lions, snakes, and birds. Now, for the fact that it is a terrestrial habitat does not mean that, excuse me, does not mean that every of these organisms can be found everywhere. So that is why under terrestrial habitats, we are going to see types of terrestrial habitats also. But how do they survive? We see monkeys use long tails for balancing when climbing. If you've ever climbed a tree before, and some of you are like me, when we're small, we used to go and pluck fruits. If you have not plucked fruits by climbing tree before, you are missing out on a lot. I'm not saying you guys should go and try it now, because you guys are already big boys and big girls, and for the balance of your body will be way off for a grown man or a grown lady trying to climb the tree. Don't break your leg. Say it's your biology teacher. I'm not there. So we see they have long tails to balance while climbing. So it helps them to balance their weight, because our own center of gravity is located around our torso. You understand? That is why if you want to, Chichi, don't break your leg. Okay, no problem. I'm not going to advise you. Well, I mean, it's nice to at least see one person doing a jump while cast is on her leg. You get, it's going to be nice. So we see our center of gravity is located around our waist, and because we didn't need to climb trees, that is why we didn't develop what do you call it, tails, so that it can balance our weight both backwards and forward. So if you climb a tree like a monkey, there is every chance that you are going to fall down. You get, you cannot be swinging like Tarzan on the tree. So how are they able to balance? It's through their tails. You understand? It gives them enough balance. Yeah, that's why you notice if you cut the tail of a monkey, the monkey finds it very, very hard to balance on the trees. So we see antelopes have long legs for running fast so that they can avoid predators. You get. So we see birds, they have wings for flight because they are aerobial animals. Say aerobial. Airborne animals. Let me just put that. Aerobia is breathing, is under breathing. You get. So we see burrowing animals. They have strong claws for burrowing. You get. Uh, that's movies now. That's movies now. You get. So we see baboons that don't. You said what about baboons that don't have tails? You look at their legs. You see the way their legs are. You see that they have other parts of their body. Like I said, these are not the only things. You understand? Um, what do you call it? We are taking the ones that stand out the most. You get. So baboons can swing from trees to trees because that's movie. You understand? Do you want to try it? You want to try swinging from trees to trees, holding a what do you call it, an epiphyte or a vine, and not trying to swing from tree to tree. Try it. And in fact, I will welcome you guys to try it. I'm all for it. I want to see two people writing what they call it, exam with casts on their legs. I'm all for it. You get. Okay. Now we get into biomes. Now, biome is an ecological region characterized by number one, climate. So, climate is a factor that helps us to. If you look at what they call it, when we're talking about abiotic factors and we got to rainfall, we see that rainfall is what describes how things are being distributed. You get because in places where they have higher rainfall, we call that place rainforest, and we have organisms that can stay there. So biomes are their what do you call it? They are characterized by their climate. You understand? If there were no climate differences in places, the world would just be one biome. You understand? So we are going to see what the climate changes do to an environment to characterize it as a biome. So therefore, as the climate changes, the vegetation also changes. You understand? That is why we see it is characterized by climate, characterized by vegetation, and animals now stay in different vegetation. You understand? So, well, we know that even growing up with apes does not. Do you know what they call body mass index? You understand? The reason why monkeys can swing from trees to trees is because of their weight also. In fact, you don't see gorillas swinging from trees to trees. Why? Is because of their weight. You get. And if you hear the footsteps of a gorilla, if you know that gorillas are not really that heavy, they are just big. You understand? So, yes, as a human being, try holding those vines by which they, or try jumping from a tree branch to another tree branch. The ones that they can swing from, the ones that are very light. You get, try that. Even evolution does not support the fact that Tarzan can jump from trees to trees. That's a story for another day. We are not science files in this place. So we see biomes are determined mainly by number one, rainfall. So we see rainfall affects biomes. It's number one thing that characterizes biomes, which we are going to see also. Places with less rainfall are called desert. Places with moderate rainfall are called savanna. Places with high rainfall are called rainforest. So it's like the rainfall in the particular area gives them a name. Now, temperature is another thing also. You understand? In that place here, we have temperature differences, and we are just going to talk about the ones that they have high temperatures. We see humidity. Humidity is what? Why are you advising us? I just said it. I said it would be nice to see people write exams with casts. You get, or come and collect their award on award giving day, and I see cast on your leg, and I'm like, in fact, I'll use the cast to recognize you because I know if there are two students that come to receive their awards, and they have cast on their leg. I know it is either Ifeoluwa or Chichi. So you guys don't need to introduce yourself to me anymore. So we see humidity is the amount of water vapor that is found in the atmosphere. So at a point when the humidity is at its peak, it reaches a saturation stage. You get, say, water vapor in the air has gotten to its peak, it becomes what? It becomes dew. You understand? So dew is as a result of the water vapor in the air reaching saturation point. That means the point at which the water in the air condenses back into liquid. You get, that is what we call the saturation point, and is what gives us what? Gives us dew. So we have soil types also. You understand? In an area where you have lots of what do you call it? You say you are suspecting me. You don't have to suspect me. I said what I want to see. What do you call it? Well, I think Laura, you know, it is part of them. I said what I want to see. I said what I want to see. So there's no need to suspect me. If I was trying to hide myself, that's when you suspect me. So we see soil type is part of it, and then vegetation, which is affected by the amount of rainfall, also determines what biomes are. Please, let's commit all these to mind because we are going to be talking about them in what do you call it next time. So now, Nigeria has several biomes, including number one is your tropical rainforest. We see the tropical rainforest. We are going to talk about that. Let me not go into it. We have the savanna also. We have the mangrove swamp and the montane forest. Now, because Nigeria is characterized by tropical rainforest and savanna, we are going to talk about that the most. But now, before we go inside, we have to talk about what is tropical rainforest, what is savanna, what is mangrove swamp, what is montane forest. We are going to see that later. Now we continue. Tropical rainforest is found in the southern part of then you wanted to do it with them. So we said we find it in the southern Nigeria. Now we see southern Nigeria is divided into three parts. We have the southwest, we have the south, and the what? The southeast. I don't know. I've not heard of south central before. I only know of north central yet. And in Nigeria, the what do you call it? The highest landmass that we find, or the largest landmass we find in Nigeria, is the northern part. And it is why in politics, most of the people that side with the North people, or the people that the North people side with, are the ones that become president. Why? Is because they have larger landmass, at the same time they have larger population. Yes, we see examples of these states are cross rivers, which we find in the south. We find the what they call it, the river states, which are also part of the south. We see the Edo, south, Ogun, southwest, Ondo, and the rest like that. We also have the southeast also. That is where we find the tropical rainforest. Now, what is the tropical rainforest? As you can see in this image here, this is an example of a tropical rainforest. It is a place with dense vegetation. You can see it in this image that you can barely see the soil. In fact, from the top of a tree, you get. So that is an example. And why is that so? It's because number one, we have very high rainfall. It's categorized by very high rainfall, which might exceed 2,000 millimeter per year. Now, if they say 2,000 millimeter per year, how do we measure that? What do we use to measure that? Who can tell me what we use to measure that? Excuse me. What do we use to measure that 2,000 millimeter per year of rainfall? I'm seeing hydrometer, seeing hygrometer, seeing rain gauge. Now, if you chose hydrometer, well, the hydrometer is a different thing entirely, and it's not even related to this particular what they call it itself. Now, hygrometer is used to measure humidity. I think I made mention of that in the last class also. Then rain gauge is what you use to measure rainfall. So if you hear what do you call it, 2,000 millimeter or maybe 200 centimeter of rain per year, it means that they use a rain gauge to measure the amount of rain. And yes, that's what they call it. You guys that said rain gauge, you should clap for yourself. It's not like you do meter. Busayo Akeshiro Yes. Yes, there's nothing like Kilometer. Please go back to the last class and read what we talked about. You get, I made mention of it. We said rainfall is measured using your what? Your rain gauge. So they use rain gauge to measure your rainfall. So we see high temperature. That's why in Nigeria, even in the south here, we also have high temperature during the day like this. You'll be sweating hell. So we see dense vegetation, like I made mention of, high humidity. You understand? Because of the amount of water present there, number one, the amount of the what do you call it? The because sunlight cannot reach below these guys. You get, we have lots of water present below them. You get, and therefore high humidity is why you stay under all these guys here and you'll be feeling very cool. You get, we have tall trees forming layers. So we have layers of trees. Okay. Oh, Eudometer is another name. All right then. All right then. I stand. You get. No man is an island of knowledge. Thank you guys for teaching me again in this class. I mean, you guys are ready for exam. Thank you for teaching me, by the way. So now we see we have layers. And why do we have layers of trees? Is because so that they can, what do you call, they are competing for sunlight. And therefore, we have trees that grow very high into the sky in tropical rainforest so as to be able to get or to be able to access sunlight. You get. So from here, we see the four types of layers. Rainforest has several layers. The four types of it is number one, the emergent layer. These are the layers of trees that grow the tallest in those areas. That is where you find your Iroko tree. You get, find them at this top in this place, your oak tree and the rest like that. We have the upper canopy. The upper canopies are the collective ones that form the canopies that you see from this place here. If you look at this place here, you see that we have this dense vegetation. What forms like this canopy in this place is what we call the what? The upper canopy. Now the understory is now the ones that are lower, like your your coconut tree, your pine wood, your banana trees, and the rest like that. They don't grow too tall, you understand, and therefore they have lots of leaves so as to access sunlight. You get. If the sun can reach the ground and there's a lot of rain, how is there what they call it? I said the sun barely reaches the ground. I didn't say it doesn't reach the ground at all. You get. And another thing is the fact that sun heat energy is transferred via three methods. Number one is conduction, number two convection, and number three radiation. So you understand that even if there is no gas present, there can still be heat in a vacuum via radiation. In what do we call it? In physics, we've been able to see that. At the same time, we have water. Water is a bad conductor of heat, but when it contains salt present inside, it tends to conduct it also. You get. So water on the ground can also conduct heat. You understand? Radiation can work hand in hand with conduction and the rest like that. So we have higher, what do you call it? Especially even if, because you know that once heat is transferred and it cannot find a way to escape in this kind of area, you have heat present there. So we continue. I think what do you call it? Understand? Busai understands that. So we continue. So we see in these understories, we also find the epiphytes. Now, the epiphytes are those ones that you see that they grow on other trees to find support. It's the one that you see Tarzan swinging from. You understand? All those ones that they used to wrap around, like the creeping vines. We have the elder vines. We have the yam. We have the rest like that. You get. But most of them are found in this area. We go back to the previous image. You look at it also, you see that most of them, if you look closely into this place here, you see lots of epiphytes present here growing into each other. You get the ones that they climb, the ones that they are creeping, and the rest like that. So we find them in the understory, and in the forest floor is where we find scanty grasslands. In that place, you find scanty grasslands. Now, these layers support many organisms. So in your rainforest, we have high biodiversity because every organism can thrive in this area. You understand? When you hear biodiversity, it means that the different types of species stay in this area from microorganisms to macroorganisms. They can survive in this type of areas. So because we have producers at a very high rate, at the same time, we also have areas that are conducive for organisms to stay. So we continue. Examples of what do you call it? Plants found in this area. We see mahogany. This tree here is what we call the mahogany tree. We see ebony tree that has a dark, what do you call it, stem, which they use in your making of your table. All those tables that you see that they look very black and strong is made from your what? Your ebony tree. We see oil palm. Oil palm, find them very much in this area. We see rubber trees are found in this area. Lianas are found in this area. And epiphytes, like I mentioned, epiphytes which grow on what they call it, they find support from other trees. Now, these plants grow tall to compete for sunlight. And that's why we have several layers of them in this place here. You understand? They form a whole canopy. That's why you can hide in this place and some might not even touch you. You get, so that is why they grow up to compete for sunlight. We have big trees there. So examples of animals in this place, we find the monkeys, we find the chimpanzees, because of course you cannot find a monkey or a chimpanzee on normal grounds. They have to swing, and therefore they are found on higher trees and the rest like that. We see gorillas also are found in this area. We see parrots, trees, what do you call it? They stay on trees. We find snakes around this area because snakes can burrow into the ground. At the same time, they stay in trees also. We now find numerous insects. Find numerous insects because insects are like majorly primary consumers. So therefore, they have to stay where producers are the most, and therefore we can find them in this area. So we see rainforest as a very what they have very high biodiversity. Yet, Chichi, don't worry, you're gonna rewatch Tarzan again. I feel like you are you are what do you call it? You are being nostalgic. Now we continue. The savanna biome, which is the next one. What is the savanna biome? The savanna is a grassland biome with scattered trees. Yet grassland, it means that what we find mostly in this biome is grass. You get, mostly we find grasses, as you can see in this image here. See, the trees are scanty. You get, what we have on the ground the most is what? Grasses. Why is that so? It's because of the amount of rainfall that we have in that area is lower. Note, for the what you call rainforest, we have 2,000 millimeter of rainfall per year, or might exceed it. Goes to around like 10,000 or the rest. Might be that high. You get. Now, but then in the what they call it, we also have the savanna. The savanna is the largest biome in this place. And why is because it is found in the north. And if you remember, like I said earlier, in the north, we have the largest landmass. We have the north central, we have the northeast, northwest. You get. So all those places here, we have the highest landmass around the north side, and therefore in Nigeria, what we find the most is the savanna biome. Now note, because I know if you guys had gone into your exam and they asked you which one is the highest, because you saw green, white, green on our flag, you will say, well, it's the rainforest because our land is green, isn't it? No, we have the savanna biome as the what? As the greatest or the largest biome in Nigeria. Now it is found in what? In the northern areas, which is comprised of your northeast, northwest, and north central. That's why you see northern and central Nigeria. We call it the north central. So we see types of states. You can look at it here. We see most of the people that we find here are either the Hausa Fulanis or the what? The north central people, where you have your Tiv Nukwe and the rest like that. Now Kaduna, Kano, which is center of commerce, where we get textile from. As of old, we get groundnut, yam, potato, pepper from there. We see Niger State, we have the Bauchi State, we have Plateau, we have Taraba. We find them, the biomes in those areas, we call them the savanna biomes. Now, the climate of the savanna Climate of the savanna has moderate rainfall. It has long dry season. You understand? So it has moderate rainfall. Note, it is not little rainfall, rather it is moderate. It has long dry seasons. So that means they have rainfall, but they have longer dry seasons than in the rainforest, and therefore the what they call most of the grasses around there look brown. They have lost their green pigmentation. You understand? And they have distinct wet seasons. You get? You have distinct wet seasons. It shows a difference where you have a wet season and then you don't have a wet season in the savannah. And then they have high temperatures. You get? As the same thing as your rainforest. Their rainfall ranges from 500 to 1,500 millimeter per year. So the savanna is now divided into two. In Nigeria, the Guinea savanna and the Sudan savanna. So we'll continue. Vegetation of the savanna includes the tall grasses, that's what we find there the most. And then we have scattered trees, so they are not in a position. You get? The trees are scattered around. You get? And then we have shrubs that allows them to what? Excuse me. Shrubs are just medium grown trees. You get? That what they call it? They are not particularly trees. You get? That they are find a way to grow in that area. So we see common trees are your acacia tree. We have baobab tree. Shea butter tree is gotten from around there. If you've ever asked yourself the reason why we get shea butter and locust bean from around Kwara and Ilorin side and the north areas, it is because of we find these vegetations there. Locust bean is gotten from locust bean tree. It's not from locusts. You get? So we also have shea butter also, which is also gotten from a tree also. Now, animals there, you see, like you can see in this place here, the elephant is found there. You find the elephant in the northern side. So we see if you want to see a lion, go to the north. Don't go to Ibadan Zoo. Those ones are not well fed. So we see lions are found there. We see elephants are also found there. In fact, if you go to the wildlife in the north, you go there to see wildlife. It's very, very interesting. So we see the antelopes are also found there. The hyenas, the rodents, birds are found in the savannah. Now, many animals in the savannah are herbivores or grazers, like your what? Your elephant is an herbivore. Your antelopes are herbivores. Rodents, they feed on your yams, feed on potatoes, feed on carrots, and the rest like that. They are also herbivores. The same thing with birds also. Yes, they are found in trees. So, adaptations in the savannah. How do organisms adapt? How do trees adapt in the savannah? They have deep tap roots to be able to absorb water. You see the way it goes into the ground to be able to absorb water, and they also spread out like that so that they can get water from anywhere. So we see grasses, they regrow quickly after fire. You set them to fire, they grow quickly. Why? Is because of their roots, which are very deeply buried into the ground, can still tap water and what? Still be able to make them wet again. You understand? So therefore, they regrow quickly, and you've just supplied them with a very good what they call it, supply of potassium, which plants like the most. Yeah, if you what they call did biology very well in secondary school, they will tell you that they pour ash at the bottom of or the stem of a tree so as to allow the plants to grow very well. Yes, and potassium does a very, very good job for plants. So we see animals, they have long legs for running in this kind of area because you see your antelopes, so that they can be able to evade predators, they have long legs for running. Then herbivores in that area, they have strong teeth for grazing because most of the organisms you find there are herbivores. Now, uh, the differences between your rainforest and your savanna. In the rainforest, the rainfall is very high, while for the savanna, it is what? It is moderate. The vegetation is a dense forest due to the amount of rainfall we have in this area and the fact that they have to grow towards to absorb sunlight and the rest. And we have different canopies. So we have a dense forest, while the savanna is just a grassland with scattered trees. So the biodiversity in this area, we have very high biodiversity. meaning we have lots of organisms present in this area of different species. And for a savanna, we have moderate in this place. Their dry season for a rainforest is short, as we have, what do you call it, higher rainfalls, apart from the time that global warming is starting to harass us in this country. While for your savanna, we have longer dry seasons. So we have come to the end of the class. Does anyone have a question? If you have a question, you can ask. Does anyone have a question? So while we do that, I'm just going to copy the link for our test and share it with you guys. So this is the link to your test, and the link for you guys to, what do you call it, sign to your attendance is what is on the screen, as you can see. Yes. Now, since I've not gotten any question, I believe nobody has a question. So please, let's do our best to attempt the quiz on this place here. Let's attempt the quiz, and yes, we'll just do correction together. We have 10 minutes for that. Please, let's do that. That's right. Let's attempt the quiz. Quiz. Okay, what are the, okay, I'm seeing a question. Sorry. I'm trying to look at you guys. Who I know is not. So if the attendance is not working, then you guys can just attend to the test instead. So we don't waste time on that. So, what are the characteristics of trees in the savannah? What is the difference between the Guinea and the what they call the savannah? Um, yeah, I will answer the question after you guys are done with the test. Please attempt the test first. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Attempt the test first. Excuse me. The page for the activity is not found. How is that so? Then the problem is with the what they call it, with the what you copied. What you copied. Look at it very well and recopy it again. You understand? It is surl.li forward slash lnr Some people are already doing it here. Yeah, Laura, when you know it, please try it all over again. And we have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. So please let's be let's see. Okay. We have 3 minutes left. Oh, excuse me. 1 minute left. 1 minute left. I've only seen one person that has done the body politic. No one person has done it. Everybody has done it. So time is up. Bang bang bang. Only see two people did the what do you call it? Yeah. So I'm just going to start. Now for Chisomaga Francis, you said what are the characteristics of the trees in the savannah and what is the difference between them? Now the first thing I'm going to make mention of the fact that in the savannah the trees have very thick barks. Why is because I said there is more moderate rainfall. You get so they have very thick backs, which allows them to what to lose less water. You understand? And then they have waxy leaves. You get again for to reduce the amount of water that is being lost via transpiration. You get so all these things are what they call it. They help them to survive in that type of habitat. They have drought resistance, which means that their roots, like I made mention of, they have very deep tap roots that reach into water that is underground during dry season. So they also have widely spaced trees. You understand? So they have widely spaced trees that allow sunlight to reach the grasses on the ground. You get, and we see that during dry season, I think they shed their leaves. You get, they shed their leaves, and for their trees, they have flat or umbrella-shaped tops, which allows them to capture sunlight. You get, in that place here. I think is if Chisomaga Francisca is hearing me. So yes, what is the difference between the Guinea and the Savannah? So just understand that the Guinea and the Savannah, the differences between them is the amount of rainfall that falls there. In the Guinea, what do you call it? The Guinea Savannah and the Sudan Savannah. The Guinea Savannah has the highest rainfall. Like I said, the rainfall goes from 500 to 1,500, but we can also divide them. So for the what do you call it, the Guinea Savannah has the highest rainfall, which is from 1,000 millimeter to what to 1,500 millimeter. If you are just joining back the class, what do you call it? I'm not going to go back for the explanation. Why is because the test is 10 minutes. If you spend anything more than 10 minutes, it means that you need to go and work on your efficiency. Like I said, jam tests your efficiency, not how much book you know. You get. And by efficiency means the amount of questions you can answer right within a given period of time. Understand? So yeah, we continue. So we see for the Guinea Savannah, we have 1,000 millimeter rainfall to 1,500. While for the Sudan, it is now lower. We have it from 600 to 1,000 millimeter. Understand? So that means that the Sudan savannah has the is has drier, what they call it, vegetation. You understand? Drier area. You see the soil of the Sudan savannah is drier, while the soil of the Guinea savannah is wetter. Yet another thing is that for the vegetation, you see that for the Guinea savannah, it has taller grasses. Why? Is because it has more rainfall. Why for the Sudan savannah, it has shorter grasses and the rest like that. So yes, with this we are just going to enter into the let me just open this. Yes, we are going to answer. Oh, Alex Jibo, you know what? So for the next class, I will not be present. That's another thing I would like to tell you guys. I won't be present for the next class. Some people are still doing the test. I'll not be present in the next class. So for that, I'll just drop um, questions you guys are supposed to answer. And the second thing I'll be dropping is your what do you call it, the amount of questions that you guys are going to answer. We need to move it on a very, very faster pace. You get. So we start. Um, excuse me. Since time is gone, I would say probably we should just what do you call postpone the correction to another class. So that within this time, it will have to go to my place. You get. So yes, with this then we have come to the end of the class. I think that's what I would like to say. This we've come to the end of the class. Till next class, you guys stay geeked up. Again, I will not be present next week Tuesday. I will be coming on Thursday, by the way, because of some what do you call it, issues I have to attend to. So with that, I would see you guys in the next class again. Till then, stay reading, stay sharp, stay intelligent, and yes, prepare for your exams. So yeah, bye guys. Good night.